Mr. Martin, welcome.
Mr. Ralph.
Here we are.
How are we doing today?
I'm very good.
Yes.
The Lume Plotters are back with another
Back again.
riveting
Yes.
episode.
Hold on to your seats because today is going to be a really good one.
Yes, absolutely. We are going to rock the boat.
Let's say what we're talking. Should we say watches first or what we're talking about?
Yes. Let's show watches first. Absolutely.
Okay, I'll go first because you always seem to go first on the watch check. I am wearing a closed case back Rolex Submariner because they're all closed case back. The 114060 no date sub.
Okay.
Which is, there's nothing more to say about it than that. It is a no date sub, much like all the other no date subs.
To your absolute excitement, I'm wearing a watch that is pretty similar actually today. My
The sister of my watch, I guess.
Yes, the
But
sister
you have
from
it on
another
a
Mr.
titanium Jubilee.
Brother from another mother. Yes, I have this on a Jubilee. I have this on the titanium ankle straps Jubilee bracelet, which I really like. Very comfortable.
It looks really dark. I like it.
Yeah, it's really matching
it looks.
the titanium color, so it's perfect.
It looks
no
really
date. Cool. It's like a no date sub. There you go.
It is. I remember I had this watch. I had the Tudor Pelagos 39. I had the Submariner. Yeah. And ultimately, I sold it because I said it is literally the same watch.
Yes.
I couldn't.
And I told you that
justify
this watch has actually, if I ever get a Submariner, this one will go.
But
because
it will
it's
be
so
replaced
similar.
by blue dial version if they release it.
Yeah, that is a different story. Yeah, and I think they will. Yeah. Eventually it will come.
And that's what I'm waiting on because then it is different enough from the sub where I can justify having two no-date divers, one blue, one black.
Can you believe the drama about the color? That the watch world will have, the enthusiast world will have, because they will say like, just again another miss from Tudor because the blue is too bright, the blue is too dark, the blue is too
well, let's go into this. We did see some renderings, so to speak. Somebody said it was a leak. We don't know exactly, but it did seem like a Tudor released leak. Like it came out in March of this year. Mm-hmm. So a couple months ago, we thought it was going to be released during whatever the new version of Basel is, right? Watches and Wonders, and it wasn't. And if you know your version has the red line Pelagos on the black dial.
Yes.
And then the one we saw rendered was a blue dial, blue bezel, and had a yellow writing for Pelagos.
Yes, exactly.
And this to me, and it was a grainy, crappy like picture that was taken like with a cell phone of a magazine or of like a piece of paper. So to me, it could be real. I don't know.
It could be, who knows, but
I bet you there's going to be some retaliation.
Everybody was up in arms because why the yellow?
The Tudor always does one thing to piss everybody off, right? In your case, in the Pelagos 39, it's the 21 millimeter lug width. Why couldn't they just do 20? They had to do 21. Yeah. Otherwise, that watch is perfect in every single way.
I agree. I love that watch. I still love it more than I ever thought I would. It's perfect. Yeah. It's really, really lovely. I'm very happy.
It is.
Yeah.
No, it's a very good watch.
Coming on, pissing people off. What is our topic today? What is it?
The topic today is words
that pisses us off.
It is watch watch words that are used in the watch, world, industry, whatever you want to call it, that just are overused and constantly. Like every time I see it, I cringe a little bit.
Yeah.
It's not that it pisses us off, but it's just annoying that everyone has to reuse the same 15, 20 words nonstop on every watch article we read, on every YouTube video. And the thing is, my wife in the other room, when I'm watching a YouTube video, cringes as well, because she's like, did they really just say that again? And it's these overused words that are just absolutely ridiculous. And it's always like the B tier watch people in these YouTube videos that say it. Like there's always one sweaty looking, chubby guy sitting in front of a microphone. He's balding and he's always, it's literally the epitome of every watch YouTuber. And
Okay.
he's saying, "Oh, this is an icon. This is stunning. The colorway is amazing." And, or he's ragging on the watch for this, same reasons. But
Right.
he's either really pro watch or anti watch. Doesn't matter. But
Yeah.
it's just annoying.
Yeah. I think there are, of course, not only in the official or the YouTube, let's say the hobbyist space, right? Of the influencer space. And then there's, of course, the proper magazine style or magazine reviewers, the commercial ones, right? You have the Hodinkis and the Time and Tides and other than that. These are more proper commercial ones, right? But they're also using a lot of, let's say, euphemisms for certain things, right? I mean, we are getting carried away very often in these things. And I'm writing articles and Instagram posts for Scottish watches every now and then. So I'm trying
and I'm writing the captions for these podcasts every single week. And I keep saying, diving into, and I'm like, I cannot say diving into about dive watches. It's overused.
No, and I think we are all guilty of that to a certain extent. If you want to, talk about a new watch and saying like, oh, wow, this incredibly innovative feature that this watch has is that the crown is whatever, screw down and lining up or something. Right. And you think like, oh my God,
very innovative.
How innovative can that be? Yeah. So we are sometimes having these words as triggers, and let's go through them. You start.
All right.
Yeah.
I will start. I'm going to pick I have a list, and the list has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 15 things on it.
Whoa.
So I'm going to go with what pisses me off the most, and the word that I really, really, really don't like, and that is the word collector. To me, when you say the word collector, it's somebody with a mindset that they're out to collect every stamp with Queen Victoria on it. And, that's what they go for. And they're sitting in a cave somewhere and they're literally doing nothing but trying to find all of these stamps.
It's a bit like a job description,
and to me,
right? He's a collector.
Not necessarily. It's just, no, it's like a hermit, somebody who's stuck inside, that hasn't seen the light of day in 20 years. And that to me is a collector.
Okay.
And when you say watch collector, do I think I'm a watch collector? No, I have watches. I like watches. Am I collecting in any specific way? I have my methods and madness, right? But ultimately, having 5 of something does not make you a collector. Right?
You could argue the other way around, that everybody who has more than one watch is a collector already.
Or we could say that, yes.
Because
either way,
what triggers me more is that when somebody says the one watch collection.
I have this on my list. I'll take it off now. Not one. I put in as X watch collection. So anytime somebody says, I want a 10 watch collection, I want an 8 watch, I have a 1 watch collection. It's all, it's
personal,
not a collection.
Right? Course,
it's just, it doesn't matter how many, but ultimately you're looking at,
this is
saying
just,
I have 3 of something, it's a collection. So if I have 3 pairs of shoes, that's my shoe collection.
Yes, you're a shoe collector.
If I have 3 T-shirts, I'm a T-shirt collector.
Absolutely,
now.
Yes, you are.
I have
plenty of headphones. I am a headphone collector.
I have 15 white shirts, the exact same. I ordered 15 of them. It was 5 packs of 3 or 3 packs of 5, whatever it was. Mm-hmm. That makes me a shirt collector.
Totally. You are an absolute T-shirt enthusiast.
Yes.
100%.
And if I only have 1 of something, then that makes me, a collector as well, right? So if I have, a wedding ring, I am now a wedding ring collector.
Yeah, you have a 1 wedding ring collection.
Exactly.
Amazing.
So this,
but I think that's a good way to just have 1 wedding ring. Don't collect them. It's bad.
So if you're married to 4 different women, you have 4, you stack them, or what do you do?
Usually that's not what you do with the wedding bands. I think you put them on your car and then you have an Audi.
Oh yes, 4 rings.
There you go. Solved your issue.
So all right, that's mine. You said one as well.
Yeah. So
or this is kind of still the same one.
Yeah. So for me, one of the ones that I think is overused and I really don't like it to a certain extent is when a watch is being characterized in mostly in watch articles in a sense, and it has these following an either innovative, novelty, or revolutionary features. And you think, so what does it do? And the answer is, it still just tells the time, right? So how much of a revolution is this for the world, right? I mean, not saying for the mechanical watch world, it could be revolutionary if you have a silicon hairspring, the first one, because it's amagnetic. But there were others before that were not magnetic, right? So is that really now a revolution? Are we shaking in our boots and thinking, oh my God, this is just...
We have an episode on revolutionary, right? On icons versus new watches, right? And ultimately we said that nothing is revolutionary unless you're going to redefine how we read time.
I would argue a watch, even when somebody said the quartz watch with solar power would be revolutionary, because it's a watch that works forever and
when
charges.
When Cartier started doing this solar beat, and I'm just like, has everyone not forgotten about Citizen, who's been doing this for the last 20 years?
By the way,
you can buy it for $2.
It supplied the movement, I think.
Did they?
Yeah, it's not it's a subsidiary of the Citizen Group. It is a Val de Joux. You know, they own Frederic Constant. No, do they own Frederic Constant? No. I think they do.
Who's Citizen?
Yeah. The broader Citizen.
They have
some. So they have some Swiss watchmaking, and they bought some watch manufacturing things as well. So they have some Swiss stuff. So they are selling it via the Swiss company, so that the movement is Swiss. But it's basically the same technology, I think.
Yeah.
But anyhow, the point is, so you think, wow, it's a watch that doesn't need to be, a new battery that runs forever. Where did I see that?
G-Shock?
Where did I see that before? Automatic winding watch. So is it really that revolutionary? We've done that for 100 years, basically, right? It's a watch that doesn't need a new battery. It does work forever if you care for it. Maybe even longer than a battery, right? Because the rechargeable battery
the batteries,
might run out.
They go back. Exactly.
So I don't know. Where is the revolution? I would argue putting a calculator in a wristwatch at the time, right? With Casio, they still produce them. That could be revolutionary, because now you can make the 4 basic calculations on a watch. Revolutionary. But anyhow, that's, I think, overused. And I think, a new material being used, and we are going completely out of our minds, saying like, oh my God, this is ceramic. Oh my God. Or this is now made in ceratanium or...
Serachrome, Ceratanium,
Yes, exactly.
Exactly.
All these things. And then we're going like, oh my God, this is a game changer. That would be another word in that list.
Nothing is a game changer. Nothing is going to surprise me.
Yeah, exactly.
But, all right.
Okay, so then
going on.
Next.
I got too many. I'm going to go with, let's see here. Limited edition.
Yes. I agree.
And I'm going to include also the Omega's version, numbered edition. Seriously, guys, numbered. Okay, I put a number on it. This is ridiculous. Okay, some limited editions I understand, right? You make 100 of them, it's fine. But when Omega is making, 10,000 limited edition watches, literally they'll make something with 10,000 pieces.
Yes.
Is that really limited? Yes. Could you have sold more if it wasn't limited? That's probably pushing the boundaries already.
I think it's like saying it's not part of the permanent collection and of a watch brand. And I think this is a bit more honest. If people are saying this is our permanent collection, like this watch will stay here. These watches are what we consider our bread and butter watches. These are the watches that which is also a bad word, bread and butter. But this is basically the watches that we consider our core collection.
And then you have
and we will always produce these core models. And then
that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then we have there are certain limited models.
Temporary
in that case. And this is the same thing with cars, right? You see this Nissan Altima and it says limited on the back. I'm like, limited what? What is limited about this Nissan Altima that you just bought?
Limited
Nothing.
Speed. Limited luxury.
Everything. Limited luxury, exactly. But it's ridiculous that they would do this, right? And I think it's a joke. Honestly.
I think
yes, there are some limited editions. To me, a limited edition is when, Hodinkee or whoever makes 150, 200, 500 watches, and it's new dial, change something up, and then that's cool, right?
Yeah.
But as soon as a brand starts making too many of these, I'm looking at Omega, Oris, these companies that constantly are pumping out limited editions. It seems like every week Hodinkee has a new limited edition.
Yes,
it gets old.
I totally agree with that. And then, I mean, as you said before, when Seiko has a limited edition SPB 149, for example, and it was like 5,000 or 6,000 pieces, and it was available for years, right? 1 or 2 years.
Yeah.
And you could still buy it in a shop because selling 6,000
I mentioned this.
or 5,000 of
you could go to
thing. Yeah.
You can go to Dubai Marina Mall right now and buy the G-Shock Bamford limited edition that came out, 2 years ago? And it's still on sale.
But I think they have reissued a few.
You think they made more?
I think they have a second
That
run.
could be. I don't know. I have no idea.
But my point is some limited editions are so big, right? But as you said, how many watches does Lange & Söhne produce, or F. Pigeon? F. Pigeon makes like 800 watches a year. Lange & Söhne maybe 5, 6, 7, 8,000 watches maximum a year. And then somebody like Omega comes out and says 10,000 pieces limited edition. You think, not very limited,
exactly.
right?
No, not at all.
This is really shifting all of these watches of a specific model is a lot of work. These limited editions don't sell that much. And if you have exotic ones that are expensive, right? We had this discussion recently about, I think it was a Middle East edition of the Octo Finissimo, I think. And then people said in our watch group that it's still available 3 years after. So it's probably not limited. And then I argued, maybe they haven't sold 300 pieces of this yet. It's exclusive to a specific region, or at least it was. Now they're selling it worldwide, but maybe they just couldn't shift enough of these, or maybe they couldn't make or didn't make so many. So they're selling it for a couple of years because they only produce 50 or 60 a year. Who knows? I don't know. But sometimes it's diluting it because everybody seems to have something limited, right?
Yeah.
And I agree.
Except for Rolex. And in Rolex's case, limited is kind of, we look at the Hulk and they said the Hulk was limited, right? Is it? Is a Starbucks limited? Yeah.
Yeah, but they never tell you, for example, how many they do. And a numbered edition, I agreed with that as well. That is a bit weird. That means like we will eventually stop this watch, but we don't know when. But
look at the Tudor Pelagos LHD numbered edition. There's a number on the back of each one.
I had the Tudor Harrods edition, and I
was that number as well.
Yes, they're numbering them, and they were. And everybody,
what did it mean?
Everybody speculated. Now this is the end, right? My wife was in London at the time. She walked into Harrods, and somebody didn't take the Harrods watch that they were slotted for them. And for some reason, she got lucky, and she got the watch. And I said, "Buy it, right? I want it." Great. So she came home with it. It was 9,300 or something, and a number. And and she said the guy told her, the watch room manager, it's going to be discontinued soon. And I thought, great. Then it must be like 5 years after starting it, which is 2023, or it might, or 2022. It was. I think they announced it in 2017 or 2018, or maybe they said they may make 10,000 of them and then discontinue. Well, the 10,000 came and went. The 5 years came and went, and they are still happily selling the watch. So now the numbers are like whatever, 10,000, 11,000 or something. Nothing changed. It just continues. So the watch didn't go up in value, didn't go down in value. I mean, everything Tudor went down in value in the recent few months, but I sold it for basically slightly above what I paid for it. So okay, I can live with that. But it's no, actually, I think probably, maybe even, I broke even. Let's say it this way.
But ultimately, I get your drift. It's going to be going on forever. And at one point, they're going to come out with a Tudor Black Bay 58 Harrods edition. And that's going to replace the original one. And then they're going to do that for another 10 years.
Or the new upgraded version, like the burgundy one,
with the
right?
New bracelet,
with a new case,
exactly.
And then it will be a new one. But they have a green version, which is exclusive to Harrods, which is, if you think about it, 5 years, one single store sells this watch. 10,000
And that many,
pieces.
it's ridiculous.
And then you think, well, what is 5 years? Now I have to do a small calculation. 5 times 365, because they're open 365 days. That means it's 1,825 days that they're selling the watch. And let's say they sold 11,000 watches so far of this.
They're selling roughly 10 a day.
Divided by 1, yeah.
Is that correct?
That's six of these a day. That's not bad for a single store.
I don't think Dubai Mall sells 6 41 millimeter Black Bays in one day.
So I guess that's why Harrods and Tudor probably think, no, well, let's continue.
What's the point? Why would we remove it? Exactly.
Exactly.
All right. Okay. Moving on. We're dragging here.
Yeah. Okay.
Your turn. What do you hate?
Investment piece.
Yeah. Investment piece.
Yeah.
Safe Queen is another one that they love to use for that, right? Buy something, put it in a safe, it will go up in value.
Yeah. I mean, this
stupid.
Besides that, it's very, it's very pretentious to actually think that you know the future. It might be having all of the hallmarks of a normal investment piece to a certain extent, but maybe not. You know what I mean? It's just that we don't know. So investment pieces are rubbish. It's a
Agreed.
watch. Wear it. Be happy.
Yeah, exactly. Buy what you like, not because it's going to go up in value.
Okay.
All right. Mine. Next one. Movement related words here.
Yeah.
Workhorse.
Yeah.
/ also in-house.
Okay.
These are ridiculous.
Why
would you call something a workhorse?
Combine this with my next one, which was beater.
But beater's the whole watch.
Yeah, but workhorse is basically the movement of a beater watch, right? Because you can't have a beater watch without a workhorse.
Without a workhorse movement. Okay. Yes. I give it to you.
Yeah, I think these two terms are considered like, this is a very robust watch. This is our movement, and it will basically run forever without any service or whatever it might be. So in that case, I think the best workhorse movement is the Citizen 17 Jewels movement that was in probably a quadrillion of these HMT watches, and in all of the Citizen watches, and probably a lot of other brands that bought these Miyota movements in the world. So probably hundreds of millions of these movements are in the world, never seen service, and most likely are taking 30, 40 years later still.
Correct. Yeah.
And is that anything fantastic to think about?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's great, but it's not necessarily making us giddy. You know what I mean?
No. I mean, that's not the point of a workhorse movement or a beater watch.
So why don't you like this term?
It's overused. Everything's a workhorse these days, right? Oh, the ETA 28242 is a workhorse. The Sellita SW200 workhorse. Everything's a workhorse.
So the
Rolex movements are workhorses.
Yeah. I don't know if depending where you grow up, you actually have seen workhorses. I mean, the real thing.
Oh, of course, I've seen workhorses.
Horses that were used for work, like on farms or on, back in the days, the brewery trucks that had these brewery horses. Very, very strong horses, incredibly tall, incredibly powerful. When you stand next to one, you feel like, wow, it's like an elephant.
They're like 2 meters at the shoulder.
Yeah. And these
roughly,
are extremely powerful horses. They can't jump. They can't run very fast. They're just very powerful, very reliable, and long stamina horses, right? Mm-hmm. That can do the work. They're not great to look at necessarily. They're not the most elegant or beautiful, aesthetically pleasing horses. They're just a workhorse. So that's for the background. And that's what we still use for watches. I mean, we don't use horses for work much anymore in today's world. Yeah.
I mean, it depends on where you are in the world, once again.
Yeah.
You go to the rural countryside of Hungary, there's tons of workhorses.
Yeah, we still have workhorses.
Still being used.
It is,
of course.
Absolutely, but it's not that.
It's funny that this is the choice that we went with. Yeah. In line with this, I want to add, because of workhorse, I want to add 2 more.
Okay.
That go with this. Entry level.
Yeah.
That's kind of a very strange word, because entry level, you'll see something that's $10,000 and it's entry level. You'll see something for $500. They call that entry level. Everything's entry level, depending on whom you ask. And bang for buck is another word that we always like to say. Bang for buck. This watch is $10,000. Great bang for buck. The new IWC Ingenieur. Great bang for buck.
That's when you have your really? Non-watch collecting friend, will ask you then, so why is this good value for money? What does it do? And I say like, it tells the time. Oh, yeah, exactly. Wow, this is amazing. Yeah, so it's very hard, but I think entry level is so subjective and so depending on the context that it's very confusing for people. If you say to somebody, hey, I really want this watch. I want to buy this watch. It's a Tudor and it's $3,000. And you go like, yeah, that's a very nice entry level watch. And people will look at you thinking like, no, this is the most expensive watch I ever bought in my life. And you're telling me this is entry level? What?
Yeah. And this is one of the reasons that I hate it. So I had, I don't know which watch it was. My Grand Seiko was the SPGW 231. Mm-hmm. They call it the entry level Grand Seiko. I'm like, no, they still have a ton of cheaper Grand Seikos. It's the entry level, let's say, to mechanical Grand Seiko, sure. But then all of a sudden now how many more entry levels do we have? We have the entry level to mechanical. We have the entry level to quartz. We have the entry level. It just becomes a little bit ridiculous. If this word was never used again, I would be okay with it.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. So
all right, your turn.
Next one. Icon, classic, homage. Maybe even you can add to the tribute, paying tribute to something.
Yes.
Where you think, really, really, really. I mean, it's like this watch is paying tribute to some other watch just because it copied some features. Because in the end, it's all copying, right? Classic design is another word for boring. Icons are usually boring, right? Because that's
discussed
why
this.
They became icons, because they're
if they were revolutionary, they wouldn't be icons. But this is kind of strange. Now I'm going to stop you right there. There are some icons that are not boring. For instance, the Reverso is anything but boring, yet still an icon.
Well,
right? That is weird. That is so weird. How did it become an icon?
The Reverso still, I think when you ask some people, find that a very boring watch, an old man's watch.
But it turns around. Yes, we said old man's watch, but still it turns. It's square. It's not round. We could look back at what's it called? Cartier and the same thing, right? Yep. Cartier and square watches. Yep. You can't tell me when round was norm, they did square and rectangular, and that became iconic.
Yeah.
Who knows? Anyway,
okay.
Agreed.
But I think
these are also
words,
extremely
icon,
overused.
Especially when somebody says, "Oh, this could be the new icon." I always think, well, icons, you can only judge if something became an icon decades later, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so, could this be? Yes, but it's just pulling it out of your backside.
Exactly.
So,
okay. Other thing that I hate. I'm going to go with company names. Blank and blank. Crown and caliber. Crown and buckle. Quill and deployant. What was the other one that you were mentioning just a moment ago?
Time and Tide.
They keep Time and Tide. They keep doing this, and they will do something. Time and Tide I'm okay with because they didn't choose something watch related, right? Time is tangential, but Crown, as I mentioned, Crown and buckle, Crown and caliber. There's two right there with Crown in the name. Quill and deployant, I think it's called.
Quill and
is
pad.
The other one. Is it Quill and pad? No, not that. Quill and pad, I'm going to say that's more, it is quill and pad, but nonetheless, that's more writing instruments as opposed to anything watch related. But why with all these blank and blank? It's
because it sounds
annoying.
Good.
Stop doing it.
These like,
I'm getting them all confused.
Yeah, but this is like these names, right? When watch brands come up with a name of a person or something, or what do you think is a person, and then it's just it's a made up name. So nobody of this name exists. Frederic Constant, for example. There is no Frederic Constant. It just that this person doesn't exist.
Yes.
right?
This is what we call, what is it? What is that ice cream? The ice cream with the made up name. The ice cream brand.
Ben and Jerry's.
Hold on, ice. No,
Are you
no,
telling me
the
there's
ice.
no Ben and no Jerry?
There is a Ben and Jerry. I know that.
Thank God. Okay.
Haagen-Dazs.
Haagen-Dazs.
So the story goes with Haagen-Dazs that this was basically screen tested in front of a bunch of people. There is no Hagen, there is no Dazs. These are made up names, and they wanted to portray a luxurious product. And so they surveyed a bunch of people and said, which of these many names do you like the best? Which kind of implies quality to you? They chose Haagen-Dazs, hence Haagen-Dazs name.
It's a marketing name. You know, sometimes they just, it's like Rolex is. Rolex, just was.
That's Hans Willdorf said this a number.
During a bus drive in London. And then he had this epiphany saying like, that's what I call my watches. But it's a good name. It's a marketing design name.
No, Rolex is an insanely good name. And he had this thing here. It could only be 5 letters long.
Yeah.
It had to roll off the tongue.
It had to be the same in many different languages.
Yes, it had to be pronounced the same. And you pronounce that in any language almost. It's identical.
So that's good. Okay, next one.
All right.
Oh, it's me. It's mine?
Yours.
Mine. Okay.
You go.
Heritage. Did I say that already? Heritage and DNA. These two. When it says like, it carries the classic DNA of the brand, or it carries the classic heritage forward.
It sounds like you're writing the article. You would use that.
Yes, I do that. I use all of these words that annoy me.
Yeah, me too. Sadly, I do use all of them.
We are hypocrites. We are all hypocrites.
Don't look.
Yeah, no, obviously this watch is paying tribute to the heritage and the DNA of the brand, and it's a wonderful investment piece and a workhouse movement with a revolutionary, iconic. So I used all of my words now.
In a unique color, and here's my 2 words: in a unique colorway that plays with the light.
Plays with the light.
Everything has to play with the light, right? Everything is a unique colorway. Just because you used a different shade of blue. Yeah. Oh, they keep saying this about the what's it called? The new Tag Heuer skipper with the blue dial.
Yeah.
And there's it's unique colorway. There's been multiple Tag Heuer skippers previously that use the same exact colorway. Therefore, it's not unique. It's unique to the rest of Tag Heuer offerings, but it's not unique in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, but if it's highly reflective, it plays with the light. If it's matte and it doesn't reflect the light, it's amazingly how
the play with the light. They love saying that about Grand Seiko indices. Zaratsu polishing plays with the light.
It does reflect and sparkle a lot, but
But nobody says this about fluted bezels, which to me, a fluted bezel does the same exact thing as the Zaratsu polished indices. But for some reason, nobody ever mentions in a Rolex review, the fluted bezel plays with the light. I don't think I've come across that.
Yeah.
But they always say it for Grand Seiko. They always say the indices play with the light.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes.
So heritage and DNA. Exactly. It's always for me, the thing is, I think, and that's where I think overused this a bit. If you look at a 911 from 50 years or 60 years ago and a 911 today, you know it's a 911 because it has these classic lines.
The DNA and the heritage, yes.
The DNA and heritage, yes. So the raised fenders, right, that you can see where the car ends basically out of the cockpit, right, on the front. So these, is that fenders? I don't know. No. What's it called?
Yeah, the fenders.
Yeah. So these and whatever, the 2 lines or 3 lines and how you can draw a 911 on a piece of paper. I mean, the designers can. I can't do that. But and you see, actually that's the classic line, and you can overlay that over.
It's just
every
a Beetle.
Porsche
it's a Volkswagen Beetle.
It has that kind of DNA. Great. But for watches, it's for me super hard to put a specific brand's DNA on it, right?
So let's go with this. In cars, you look at grills, right? And the BMW kidney grill, for instance, right? They throw that on there and it's got the DNA of a BMW now, right? So Rolex does this with the use of the Mercedes hand, for instance, right? Tudor does it with the snowflake hand. So there are a few pieces that I could see that, okay, you're truly using the DNA of the brand. but then they make ugly things with the same hands. Like for instance, you look at the Black Bay 31, the small ones without the bezel, without the rotating bezel, and then they're putting snowflake hands on it. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and then you have like my Rolex Skydweller, which I have in my collection that doesn't have Mercedes hands. Or the Datejust,
because
which is one of the biggest seller in the Oyster Perpetual.
But that's going off of the Datejust heritage, which has the fluted bezel.
Correct, but
so that is another.
But is that Rolex
DNA?
But
it is 100% fluted bezel.
But how can you have so many different DNAs?
Because they have different lines. So originally they made the sports models and the dress models.
That's why I think it's sometimes a bit. So it's a Datejust DNA, not Rolex.
Correct.
Technically.
Yeah, okay. But Datejust DNA is IP for Rolex.
Yeah. So I think this is where it's a bit challenging.
But then you have some brand like a Omega Seamaster, where they have no idea what their DNA is for Seamaster. There's 17,000 different Seamasters out there right now, and nobody knows what they all have in common.
In my collection, I have this 2 Seamasters, right? I have the 1970
old one,
73 one, which looks absolutely nothing like a Seamaster.
That's a dress watch.
Yeah, and it's
Seamaster
a chronograph.
for them at the time was just the fact that it was water resistant, right? It was water resistant. They called it Seamaster. Had nothing to do with diving.
Yeah, exactly. So there's nothing.
No, but
it has a cushion,
actually,
it has a cushion
lied.
case, right? Yeah.
No, because in 1957, I believe they released Seamaster 300, and that was the diving watch.
Right.
So they did have the Seamaster name already on 2 products.
Yeah, but I think in any case, they have a bit of a problem with the naming, because the Seamaster Railmaster is a bit of a weird master.
Yes. Now, let me throw this out there for you. What if they're trying to be like Rolex, and by Seamaster, they're telling you Oyster? Every Rolex has Oyster on the thing.
Yes,
so you can have a Seamaster Railmaster because we have Oyster Perpetual Submariners, Oyster Perpetual Daytona, Oyster Perpetual.
They are
blah,
defining
blah, blah.
a line, but then in that line, you have too many. Maybe it's a bit too much, right? And also you have less consistency within one.
No, the thing is, what Rolex does is they put Oyster on the back burner, right? They're not bringing Oyster, the name, front and center, except for the Oyster Perpetual. So what Omega should do is, if Seamaster for them truly just means waterproof or water resistant, they need to move that out of the way and call it the Aquaterra, and call it the 300, and call it the 300M, and call it the Ploprof, right? And stop putting Seamaster in the name for every single little thing. And then that would alleviate a lot of this confusion. And you could put Seamaster on the dial, you put it up top, very small, and then you put the big brand Aquaterra down at the bottom. And then that would be much more or less confusing.
Yeah, I agree. So yeah, that's one of the words that heritage DNA, that coming back to that, that annoys me a bit, especially for watches that don't or watch brands that I feel don't really have that kind of consistency or some kind of DNA. It's a bit overused. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, but especially brands that are too new to have their own DNA as well. They can't really do anything about that. All right, I'm throwing one in here. How many more do you have left, by the way?
That's it. List? I think I'm
okay.
I'm done.
I got 3.
Okay.
Fit and finish, wrist presence in the metal. All of these kind of showing, this is what the watch looks like on your hand. This is what the watch feels like in your hands. And why can't we come up with something? We have to say wrist presence. Do we have to say, in the metal?
Yeah, but what does it?
I haven't seen.
Yeah, but let's talk about wrist presence for a second. What does it mean? It's chunky. It's demanding. It's commanding. It's dominating. It's just like
it dominates your wrist.
Like, this like the Invicta.
Yeah, but wrist presence
has an Invicta wrist presence there.
Yes,
the 50
but
millimeter.
If you have a tiny wrist versus a giant wrist. This sub has wrist presence on my wrist. You put it on, it might not.
See, that is
subjective.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but I think in some watches just have more presence, even if they're smaller on your wrist, because they're just, from a design perspective, have certain traits, maybe broader lugs, or they are just chunkier, whatever it might be, right? I mean, top heavy, I have no idea. But yeah, one is when we say in real life, right? We're just saying like when you're wearing that watch, then it's
not in the metal. You don't have to say in the metal.
in the flesh.
In the flesh.
Well, yes. Not the best idea. What else do we have? But what did you say? You had to set that in the metal. What else? You had another word.
Wrist fit and finish.
Fit and finish.
So fit and finish is just another stupid word to say this is what it looks like. This is how it's polished. This is how it's...
fit and finish is a bit more like from a quality feel, right? It's like like when you pick up a watch for a Rolex for the first time, that you never had a Rolex in your hands, and then you pick up a modern Rolex and you feel like, oh yeah, that's well made, right? Or you pick up your first platinum watch and you feel like, bloody hell, is this heavy? Or whatever it might be. So certain things cannot be conveyed in text, right?
Yeah, and ultimately you're kind of arguing that all of these words that we're saying out here are used for a reason. So we're kind of once again arguing, yes, we don't like these words, but
and they do to a certain extent overused, right? I mean, I think the absolute the one also that I think we can absolutely 100% agree on is this entry level being absolutely overused for the wrong reasons, right? Yes, you have an entry level IP, but it doesn't mean it's an entry level anything else, right? So
yes. This is once again the argument that the Boxster is the entry level Porsche. Now, what is it called? The 718
I
or
think
whatever.
Now the Macan is cheaper than the entry level Macan is the entry level.
Then that's the entry level, right? But
Oh.
it's still a Porsche.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. All right, two more. I'll wrap them up in the last two.
Okay.
One is the word grail. I just don't like it. It doesn't sit well. What's your grail watch? Well, right now, in a year, in 6 months, it's all going to change. So having a grail watch does not actually mean anything, because if you ask me today what my grail watch is, it's not going to be the same as what it's going to be tomorrow. And this, to me,
I agree.
Stop asking people what your grail watch is.
And especially if you ask your former self
or end game watch or whatever you said last time.
If you ask yourself from 2 years ago, from 3 years ago, from 5 years ago, from 10 years ago, what was your end game watch, your grail watch? They were all different ones. Because you might already have your grail watch that was your grail watch 5 years ago. You would think, or 6 years ago, or 10 years ago, you're saying, oh, if I had at any time I had a Rolex.
My next watch is always my grail watch. Let's put it that way, right?
To a certain extent, I agree. And then the endgame watch is like, is that really, in any case, a concept where you're saying like, if I had that watch, I don't need any other watch. I will sell everything. That's the one watch that rules them all. It's my Lord of the Rings. This is it. I mean,
all right. Yeah. Last word. Horology.
But it's just to wait for watchmaking, right?
It is, but do we have to use? When you say horology, it comes across so pompous.
I think
to me,
haute horlogerie is a bit more. Horology is just the English version of it, right? I mean, just as this.
Yeah.
Horology also means more than just watchmaking. It's basically the first. If you look in the
timekeeping.
It's more like the study and measurement of time. It's what comes up first in a dictionary. And then the second is the art of making clocks and watches. So, yes. Yeah. Horology
is it pompous? Yes. And it ultimately does all of these, there's a lot of pompousness when we talk about watch.
But you actually can study horology, I think, right?
Yeah, well, they do in Switzerland. You study horology in university.
Is it Switzerland? Yeah. I think there's a British watchmaker, Struthers, right?
I don't remember.
Rebecca Struthers.
I don't know the Brits.
She is the first PhD in horology, or first British watchmaker to earn a PhD in horology. Yeah,
interesting.
You can have that.
And on that bombshell,
we call it a day of
yes. So once again, guys, if you have any other annoying words that you would like us to mention, we're happy to mention them. Write us on Instagram at Lume Plotters, and I will mention them in the upcoming episodes.
Hey, and do you know what? When the first time I heard somebody say the word beta watch, I thought it's like a beta, like beta, right?
Like a beta testing.
Yeah, like beta testing. Like, you have an alpha watch and you have a beta watch. You have a Omega watch.
Okay, like that. Okay.
Yeah. So the Greek alphabet.
Because in American
basically.
English, we say beta.
Yeah. Some people
But
say
in British English, you say beta, which then sounds like beta, which is beater in British as well. So
I was confused in the beginning. So
yes, my Alpha watch and my beta watch.
because who would beat his watch? Nobody beats their watch.
I beat my watches all the time. Yes.
Okay.
When when they step out of line, when they're being naughty, I beat my watches.
Okay.
And on that bombshell,
All the best. See you soon.
have a good day, and we'll see you next time.
Bye bye.